So, why is it so common today that people are having all of these difficulties with stress, burnout, etc.? Well, it's because the world is running hot. One of the most interesting observations that I've made over the last 25 years is that people from remarkably different walks of life, from all different professions and backgrounds, remarkably arrive at similar circumstances. Whether you're an executive or a therapist or a business owner, a nurse or a teacher, it doesn't really matter. They're describing the same experiences. They're functioning, but they're accomplishing what needs to be done only on paper. They're not as present as they want to be or as they used to be. And somehow life feels heavier than it once did. What makes this observation particularly interesting is that the circumstances themselves are often very different. While one person's running a company and another person's running a family, or another one's caring for aging parents, it's all the same. While raising children, while being a teacher, while being a nurse, the details change, but the underlying experience often sounds the same. Many capable people find themselves asking why ordinary life seems to require so much more energy than it used to. So, for a long time, I assumed that I was looking at individual stories, individual stress, or individual burnout or circumstances. But the longer I worked with people, the more I began wondering if I was observing a larger pattern. And I love pattern recognition. All of my doctoral work was really dedicated to recognizing patterns and figuring out how to get people out of the rut that they get into with stress and different patterns. When thousands of people from different backgrounds begin describing the same experience, it becomes reasonable to ask whether the problem exists only within the individual or whether the environment itself may be contributing to what people are feeling. So, the world asks far more of human beings than it did even a generation ago. I mean, think about it. We process more information, we make more decisions, carry more responsibilities, navigate more uncertainty, and absorb more stimulation in one day than our distant relations would have in an entire year. We simply weren't designed to absorb the amount of information that we're getting about the environment, about wars, all the stress and the news, the social media, entertainment and marketing, and communication nonstop every hour of the day. We just weren't wired for that. So when I say the world is running hot, that's what I'm talking about. The engine on the world nervous system is wildly overstimulated. So it's no wonder that people keep on coming to me reporting the same problem about their personal nervous system running hot. A lot of people, though, have adapted so completely to this environment that they no longer recognize how unusual it is or how strange it feels. Constant accessibility to media has become normal. Constant stimulation has become normal. Constant responsibility has become normal. Constant pressure to overwork, to perform, to achieve, to produce, to manage, and to keep up has become so familiar that it's often accepted as the natural condition in modern life. Yet, normal and healthy are not at all the same thing. One of the reasons I became interested in stress and resilience is that the nervous system does not necessarily care what has become culturally normal. It responds to demand, it responds to uncertainty, it responds to responsibility, it responds to vigilance, it responds to the countless signals that communicate whether the environment around you feels safe or not. If the environment feels threatening, or if it feels manageable, if it feels overwhelming, or if it feels constantly stimulating, the world has changed dramatically over the last several decades, and human beings have not evolved as quickly as social media. So, this may help explain why so many of us are experiencing similar symptoms despite being from completely different walks of life. It may also help explain why completely intelligent and capable people feel exhausted despite doing everything that they know they should be doing. They're not carrying just their own responsibilities, they're carrying responsibilities in an environment that continuously asks for more attention, more decisions, more engagement, more energy. Many people are attempting to recover while remaining connected to the very forces that are depleting them. I mean, sit with that for a second. So, this is why I often tell clients that the nervous system pays for everything. It pays for commitments, it pays for uncertainty, it pays for responsibility, it pays for invisible labor, pays for emotional labor, it pays for the invisible burden of being the person that everyone depends on. Eventually, those costs begin appearing throughout daily life. They show up in lack of focus, patience, creativity, longer recovery time, poor relationships, decision making, and overall capacity. And even if you're only losing 5% each year, over time, that becomes a large deficit. Many people assume these experiences mean something's wrong with them, but it doesn't. They think they need more discipline, motivation, willpower, or another strategy. But what if that assumption is incomplete? What if many of the experiences people interpret as personal failures are actually understandable responses to the environment they're living in? That possibility changes the conversation entirely. Instead of asking, why can't I handle this better? We begin asking, what exactly am I carrying? Instead of assuming the symptoms are the problem, we begin wondering whether the symptoms are trying to tell us something important, right? What if it's like a dashboard light? Instead of looking for another productivity system, we begin looking for a way to understand what is actually happening. Most people already know that they're stressed out. Most people already know that they're overwhelmed. Most people already know that they're carrying too much. But information is rarely the missing piece. Insight is not what people are lacking, nor is it information. What many people lack is orientation. And this should really land with you. They're lacking orientation. They need a way to make sense of what they're experiencing and a framework for understanding why these patterns continue appearing in their lives. That realization eventually became one of the foundations of Compass. Before we can create meaningful change, we have to understand the landscape that we're standing in. Before we can choose a direction, we have to understand where we are. Before we can solve a problem, we have to recognize that what appears to be a personal failure may actually be a signal. And that raises an important question. If these experiences are signals, what exactly are they trying to tell us? So I'll be back in the fourth video in the Stress is Expensive Compass series to talk about the dashboard lights a little bit and to give you hope for how this all works out. All the observations and research have come to fruition, and we have something super special for you. So join me in the next video where we actually give you some of the solutions to these issues.